We have a wonderful group for you. I'll let them introduce themselves though. Let's start with Kelton. Go ahead.
I'm Kelton Barney. I'm so excited to be here. You can find me most places as Fesnerax, and I can't wait to dive into this game today.
Thank you, Kelton and Joanne.
I'm the ever present Joanne Wallace, the angel of Angel Citadel, and I am very excited to be playing uh, Invisible Sun.
Chris.
I'm Chris. You can find me here as Synth, and
I think we froze. Jeff, why don't you go ahead?
Right. Hey, my name is Jeff Vaden, and you can find me here as Jeffrey Boring on Discord. I'm really excited to be playing today.
All right, guys. So we've gone through 2 sessions of character creation. Let's get down to business. I want to start today by inviting you to talk a little bit about what your lives are like as Visley. So we're under the assumption that each of you has been in the actuality for a number of months. Some of you, it's been a couple, and some of you have been there longer. In particular, Claire has been there longer. But what is it that you do day to day in your homes, in your neighborhoods? So you wake up, and what's the first thing that you do, Kelton?
That's an easy one. I think Billy has a morning ritual, so it's a coffee ritual. He gets up, and you can imagine him sort of one eye closed, the other one half open, gracefully stepping over like a giant bolt that's sort of spinning on the floor, almost like it's a choreographed movement, even though he can barely see, to the kitchen, to the French press to make coffee. He loves coffee. And I think when he's done with that, he goes to the back of the haunted bomb, which is his house, opens a little hatch, sits on one of the tail fins, and kind of looks down over Fartown to enjoy his coffee. Hopes that his neighbor Virginia doesn't come and bother him. And then, after that, he might go to the Blind Pig in his neighborhood and ask about any upcoming gigs. I invented a little diner in Rive River that he frequents sometimes. We could get into if we want sometime. And he spends a lot of time at the Dreamery, reading and meditating and trying to get better at the thing that he does.
Sounds good. Now, you said you went to the Blind Pig looking for gigs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you do in the morning, or are they busier towards the end of the day? What does that look like?
I think I go and ask Atarax in the morning, any good gigs coming up, buddy? Just trying to always find somewhere to play. I may go to several different places, but since it's so close, I'll usually stop in the morning when it's not busy to talk to him, see if there's anything I should plan for, anything interesting coming up.
And since you're doing this in the morning, does he have is it like you're a regular there? So you walk in and he's got a cup of coffee ready for you, or a stack of toast or something?
Point. Yeah, probably something. Billy is, I will say, very nostalgic about the things from Shadow that he didn't get to enjoy often enough because of the nature of his life there. So, he likes very Shadow-esque foods, the less pretentious, non-Visley stuff. Things like coffee, pie and coffee, very Twin Peaks. And yeah, so probably something.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Hey, thanks. So as you're sitting on the door of your bomb casing and looking out over the portion of Fartown that you can see, you hear off in the distance a very faint but clear melody. It's almost like a choir is singing. And the tune is not something that you're familiar with. It's very new to you, but it's definitely just voices, and it's coming from a direction that you know to have an old opera house. And so, Joanne, if you could answer the same question, talk to me about what happens in your morning as your friends, the ghosts that live in the opera house, are practicing for their new concert.
Okay. Well, Claire attempts to sleep in, but never ever gets to, because eventually she gets woken up by one of the ghosts who is arguing with another ghost about whose turn it is to sing main choir. And she ends up having to chase them out of her room and then go get dressed. And she'll eat a light, cold breakfast because, keeping food hot with a bunch of ghosts around is not easy. Uh, and then just go through her house and check on all of her ghosts and make sure they're okay. And then watch as they go make a mess outside with somebody trying to, break the place down.
Now, do you mediate for these ghosts in their arguments? I mean, do you kind of like keep track? Okay, it's your turn this week to be main choir, and then it's your turn next week, and then it's your turn the following week, or is this like you just leave them to their own devices kind of thing?
I make them play rock, paper, scissors.
Did you have to teach them rock, paper, scissors?
Yes.
Okay. And is it the standard version, or is it rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock?
I'm thinking more rock, paper, lizards, or rock, paper, scissors, lizards, wizards.
Okay. Because we're Visley, and that's what we do.
And
All
then
right.
they start arguing, and then later on I'll have other ghosts that argue about other stuff that I'll have to mediate. But usually I manage to get them all calmed down at some point, or tell them I'm going to trap them in a Pokeball.
That you're going to borrow from your next door neighbor?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, just because it's a good threat doesn't mean I actually have to follow through with it, or for them to know whether or not I actually can follow through with it. I just, hold up a Pokeball and say, I will put you in this. And they typically behave themselves.
Kind of like telling your computer, I will format this hard drive if you don't start working.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I understand. So as you're doing that, you are startled by another sound, one that you also don't hear, although you've heard it before, and it's almost always the same thing. Out on the street, you hear a loud voice, and it's not running around. It's not, it's kind of a stationary thing, almost like the old the newspaper boys in the 1920s and the 1930s, where they'd stand on a street corner and shout out the headlines. This is the same sort of tone of voice. And it says, have you all heard the news about Phineas the Awesome? You must know the joy, the wonder that is Phineas. Allow me to tell you. Sterling, how do you wake up in the mornings usually?
Currently, I'm probably sleeping with a dorm mate. Um, Perhaps even Phineas. I'm not sure at the moment. I go through a lot of housemates. Scrambling awake late, probably to whatever. I have the sound of the bell, like for the first advanced class, like memorized. So I'm just scrambling awake, gathering up all my papers, throwing on just some robe that I found. They're all the same. I've only got blue robes. And just bolting out of the door. I run past Newly, and I just instantly grab some tea and grab a huge muffin. I eat the muffin in 2 bites, and then I keep running, trying to not spill the tea or drop my papers.
So I can imagine kind of an older grandmotherly hand holding out a cup of coffee with the little handle of it on the outside facing out, and then a muffin in her other hand with shaking, trembling hands that you grab as you run by. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Pretty much, I turn semi gracefully and just grab them and keep going. I tell her thank you, of course, but gotta keep moving so I'm not terribly late.
Oh, of course, dear. It's not a problem. Have a good day at school.
You too. Just keep going.
What class are you attending first?
Probably is some type of. Since I'm still first degree, probably like a history.
Okay, so maybe history of.
Relatively known history of some magic forms.
Okay, there you go. And as someone who doesn't live in Fartown, you don't hear any of this. Jeff, what does your morning look like?
Oh, well, I get up probably 11 or 12 o'clock, uh, around noon usually.
Early riser.
Stay out awful late every night, so uh, just tend to sleep in a bit. I get up and make myself a cup of tea, sit outside by the edge of the abstraction and watch things slowly dissolve into the ether, and then I go get myself ready for the day. Probably around 2 o'clock, I head out of the house. I wander around and just looking nice shops and meet all the wonderful people there. I generally head over toward Fartown in the afternoons, looking for zeros. Got to get my first constitutional of the day. Usually, it's a drink I liked from Shadow, just a whiskey sour, straight up. It's just way to start the day, right? And then I might wander out and see if I can find some interesting things to get into. Well, I say me and my friend, we like to wander around together. He's real interesting fella. Always finds the best places to get into. Generally, I look for a little bit of music or a little lively dancing. I don't really dance myself, but I do love watching.
Excellent. So as you wander Fartown, you also hear what sounds like a choir. They are still practicing. And by this time in the day, you said it was early afternoon. By this time in the day, they've gotten to the point where they stop about every 5 to 6 minutes, and you can hear what's almost like a banshee screeching, as it's probably the choir director, but you can't make out what they're saying. It's almost like they're chewing out one of the members of the choir for not hitting a note correctly or something. And then they take it up again, and it goes for another 5 or 6 minutes, and you hear that same voice. And the sounds are different. So you're guessing whatever that they're saying changes, but the tone's not any different. They're just irritated.
That sounds unfortunate. I kind of probably wander in that direction just to see what all the fuss is.
Claire, why don't you go ahead and describe the opera house? What does he see when he gets close?
Hold on. I had a mouthful of chocolate. You're a butt. As he gets close to the opera, he can see several ghosts flitting in and out and around, and they're screaming at each other and fighting. And Claire is just kind of standing there looking at the statue that's, up the street from her and sipping a cup of coffee that she's managed to get actual hot coffee, and is watching the chaos and has this almost bemused smile on her face.
That's the other thing, Albion. You also hear this statue-esque figure up the street with golden boxers talking about this Phineas, and it makes you wonder if it's the same person that Sterling has told you about.
Imagine it probably is. If anybody were to talk about a Phineas like this, I can't imagine that it's a different one. Uh, the few that I've met in my time have kept a more low profile, so uh, I wander toward the choir, though. That's really where my interest lies, I think.
Okay. Um, if you head inside, what you will see are a whole bunch of ratty old chairs. Um, the old single seat plastic backed, with the corduroy kind of fabric on the front of them, but it's at least partially moth eaten on most of those chairs. There's probably 2 or 300 chairs, in kind of an amphitheater, a curved amphitheater down towards the stage. And on stage, you see on risers probably 50, maybe 60 ghosts standing in groups, 4 groups, and one up front, that appears to be waving what looks like a baton, and they're singing, and the one in front, it looks like a she, is waving to keep the beat, and then all of a sudden she'll just kind of wave it really really fast and start pointing it at somebody in the back and shouting. And then when she gets done, she'll go and kind of take a deep breath, or looks like she's taking a deep breath, and then pick up the beat again, and they'll start singing again.
Sit down Rainey is interested in this more than I am, but uh, I don't begrudge him his pleasures, so we sit and watch for a while, and uh, I'm kind of looking around the theater, see if anybody else, living might be around.
You notice there is an older gentleman that appears to be wearing a gray set of pants and a gray vest with a really small broom and a dustpan. And he's walking around, and it's like he's sweeping stuff into the dustpan. There's nothing in the dustpan, but he's cleaning the floor anyway.
I would definitely get up and walk over to join him in conversation. Hello,
Oh, hello.
my name's Albion J. Finch. What's your name?
Varys. My name's Varys.
Varys. Well, that's a very interesting name, sir. What do you do around here? Keep it clean, it looks like.
Oh, yes, I keep the theater clean, get it ready for shows. We've got another show tonight.
Another show. Now, will these performers be on stage this evening, or are they just practicing?
No, they're just practicing. That show's not until next week. We've got a ballet playing tonight.
A ballet. My goodness. I do love to watch dancing. Perhaps I'll come by this evening.
Oh, I'd love to have you, sir. And he kind of points and, would you excuse me? And he nudges you out of the way. And as he does, you get the sense, and you look at him. As you look at him, there's no real aura there. You can typically sense when someone is a Visle. There's
Hmm.
a sense of power about them. This guy doesn't have anything, and
Hmm.
so he kind of nudges you just to the side and sweeps where you were just standing. There's nothing there, but he sweeps it
Hmm.
into his bin.
All right. Well, I will go return to Rainey. He's rapt and very attentive with this performance, practice though it may be. And I ask him if maybe he's given any thought to getting another drink somewhere. And probably wander on.
He he looks at you and nods.
Yeah, we get up and start to walk toward the entrance.
As you
Do we
walk
see
outside,
anybody?
you walk past a woman sipping coffee.
Well, hello, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, every day's a good day. Today's a little better than some. Just got to watch a beautiful performance. Met a nice gentleman inside, and now here we are having a conversation. Very pleasant day.
Conversations are always a wonderful thing. So, what do you think of the performers? They're going to interrogate me later, so I'd like to know your thoughts.
Well, beautiful, beautiful music. The the conductor seems a bit shrill, but perhaps it's not my place to say. But I've always found it's easier to get a good performance out of someone with praise and positive reinforcement rather than screaming at them in front of all of their peers. Might want to let her know some There's some excellent books on the subject.
Well, she didn't really listen to me when she was alive, so I doubt she's going to listen to me when she's dead.
Ghosts do seem to be a bit stuck in their ways, but
They
never
take,
hurts to give them a push.
yes, they simply take pleasure in taking stubbornness to an art form.
Indeed. Do you know of any performances this evening? I'm looking for a little bit of music. I was told there might be a ballet here this evening as well.
Yes, I'm fairly sure, and she's gonna like look at the wall, and then there's like touch it and set of symbols up here. Yes, they have. It looks like they're having the Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker. You know, I remember, not that it was real, but when I was a child, back in Shadow, my grandmother took me to see the Nutcracker Suite. It was a beautiful performance. But I should be moving on, I reckon. What was your name?
I'm Claire.
Ah, well, my name is Albion. Albion J. Finch. Here's my card. Reaches into his vest pocket and pulls out a card, and he says, "Now, if you ever want to call me, call me at this number, not at this number. This is the old number, but and just holds it out for you."
She'll gracefully take it. Thank you. It is a pleasure to meet you, Albion J. Finch. I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Ah, the future. Seems like a beautiful place to be, doesn't it? Well, I'll take my leave. I hope you have a wonderful day. Well, evening seems like is approaching, so hope you have a wonderful night.
You as well.
Billy, as you are spending the day trying to find uh, gainful employ in your music, you have gone from bar to lounge to street corner. And in asking around, it seems almost a what you'd call a cold crowd. And you find your way to the Vancian campus, um, where there are a whole bunch of very dour, very serious students that appear to be in need of cheering up. And there is a music program that they have at this campus as an elective that seems to have an outdoor kind of a wooden stage. If you think the old the Shakespearean stages that they used to have out in the streets of London, where they'd have those mini plays, not the big Globe Theater, but the small ones, the rickety ones. They have one of those that's kind of in a off to the side in a square in the middle of the campus, and there is nobody there except for a small sign, and the sign says, "If you wish, feel free."
Yeah, I'll bite. I think Billy goes over and probably just sits on the rickety stage. Um, he's been, by the way, for as long as he could hear the choir sort of music. When he was wandering around with his trumpet, he was learning the song and sort of playing it as he walked. Um, but I think here he'll sit down in his like extremely casual, relaxed way. You know, feet on the stairs, sitting on the stage, and just start playing. I don't think I'm very good at cheering people up with my music, but what he will play is something at least relaxing, slow, maybe a little bit creepy, as creepy as jazz can be. And I'll do. I'm not going to play the exact opera music that I was hearing, but I'm going to start with like a bar of that, and then just riff off of it, slow it down, and start playing with it, and see what happens.
That's the greatest thing about jazz, isn't it? I love when people do that. So you start playing, and it takes about 10 minutes, but pretty soon, one Visle, and then another, and then another start meandering over to listen to you. They don't tend to stay for longer than about 5 minutes, but they will, as they leave, walk up and drop in a crystal orb or two into your trumpet case. And as you're playing, I mean, how long do you want to play?
I mean, once they start sort of drifting in, I think I'll adjust what I'm doing. I'll put a little bit more effort into it, and I'll try to play my version of. I'm going to play something really mathy, I think, because they're Vances. This is the Vancian campus. I'm going to do my own riff off of the opposite way that I look at magic in general. I'm going to try to musically represent like a much more cohered, sort of like organized,
Formulaic.
formulaic thing, but very, very complicated. And occasionally I'll make little jokes where I like break that down into something that I consider satirical because it's like completely not formulaic and wild. And I try to have like a little dialogue with myself. This amuses me, so I'll go on for like an hour and see what happens. I have nothing better to do.
As you are doing that, Sterling, you happen to be in the library, absently scratching the head of the wrong cat, Meowlity, that has come over and found you in the nook that you're studying in, and managed to wedge himself between the chair that you're sitting in and the wall so that nobody else can see him. And your arm just sort of drops down, against the wall, and you're covertly petting this cat as spiders crawl all over it. As you're looking at your term work, you start hearing a lone trumpet playing outside. The Vancian Library is the largest building on the campus, and it opens out directly into the main courtyard of that block. And it sounds like it's coming from across the courtyard. You know that there's sort of a rickety stage across there, but nobody ever uses it.
I kind of put down my pencil, finished scratching whatever I was scratching into the page. I looked down at the cat. Do you think that's the event for today? Nobody uses that stage. Kind of a weird place for it.
If the cat could look up at you and communicate utter perplexity, from not from a lack of understanding, but from a lack of any sense of normality anymore, that's what he would be looking at you like. And so, with the new the new headmaster that's come in, and with all the new events that he's putting on, everybody, even this wrong cat, is now starting to feel like, you know what? I just don't even know anymore. I give up. Whatever's happening is happening. It's fine. Whatever.
Do I get a sense that by watching the people that do sort of come in and listen for a minute, that all of these students are just exhausted and kind of stressed out?
Go ahead and give me a roll for that. Let's take a look at perception.
Okay. That is, I'm not trained in. Wait, I think I am actually. Been a while. Nope, that's not one of them. So that's a 6.
That's still going to be enough. Yeah, you can, as you're looking at these guys, you kind of see the drawn face, right? The darker bags underneath the eyes, like they haven't slept in a while. And it's not so much that the Vances at the Vancian College know how to party. I mean, they're not. It's not like frat row or anything, but even a little bit of noise is typically noticeable. And so you've got all these people trying to be serious and study and do all this stuff, and there's always something going on now. And so finding time to focus and do their studies forces them to do it at odd hours, and it's screwing up their schedules.
If so, that being the case, I would like to spend just like one sorcery, and into the tune that I'm playing, I would like to weave together rest from sleep and joy from freedom, just into the song itself as just a very low key, and I'm spending that sorcery point, calming sort of. I think these uptight academics might need a little bit of rest and joy.
I love it.
Even if just for a fleeting moment.
Go ahead and roll that, and don't forget to add to the sorcery to your venture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so geez, all right, and then musician is +2, so that is an 8.
Perfect. So what you notice is, as you begin to weave your magic into the tune that you're playing with the trumpet, you can visibly see some stress go out of their shoulders, right? But more than that, as they become more relaxed, the tips that they give increase. So instead of 1 or 2 crystal orbs, you're looking at 4 or 5 per person, as like a, oh my goodness, I needed that, thank you. Like you're getting a good shiatsu massage or something, right? And they walk away and they look, their step almost looks bouncier than it
The
was
biggest
when they
payoff for
started.
me is just seeing the tension leave their shoulders makes Billy a little bit more comfortable in his own skin.
No, I agree, and I think it's great. Claire, you wanted to do something?
All right. So since I evidently hear the jazz music, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select 3 ghosts and send them to join Billy in his quest to play.
Okay.
So Billy, when you look up, you will have 3 ghosts standing behind you, dressed identically to you, all holding trumpets. You're now a quartet. You're welcome.
Fun.
Now, what's really odd about that, okay, is that the Vancian College and your opera house are not anywhere near each other. So, how you heard him playing baffles you.
I was just going to blame the Herald.
Okay. We can absolutely blame Golden Shorts.
I'll of course follow the ghosts to make sure that they don't get harassed or attacked or freak people out. And I'm fairly sure that my Ghostbuster dude will be following along too to make sure they're not going to get into trouble.
So your Ghostbuster dude in his tweed suit is walking along, and he's got some odd objects hanging from his belt. Boxes and what looked like jars and things. They're all empty. And then in one hand, he's got this massive tome. It's got to be 2,000 pages easy. Maybe weighs 5 or 6 pounds. And I mean, he doesn't look like he's having trouble carrying it. So you're guessing that he's carried it a long time. But he's just, it's kind of tucked under one arm, and he's walking along with it. And as you look at it, the title on the book says Statutes of the Pale.
You know they are here legally, right?
Says you.
No. See, these are the three guys that you talked to yesterday about whether or not they had their papers, and they showed you their papers.
That doesn't mean that they haven't broken a law since. And he's got this dead serious look on his face, like he is absolutely gunning for these ghosts.
Well, you know, if you're looking for a ghost that's broken the law, should you be going after that other dude?
He raises an eyebrow. What other dude?
You didn't see him? That big chunky ghost of that looked kind of like an abstract, half here, half not. He went running down the street naked, holding death to all Vances over his head.
He turns and he looks back at the street, and what you see is one side. So he's facing away from you, right? On one side of his face, the air around it gets lighter, like a light blue, and the other side just stays the same. And he looks back at in the direction you pointed for a bit, and then the air goes back to normal. He turns back and looks at you, and he says, if those three ghosts set one toe out of line, I'm going to deport you with them. And he turns around, he races off back in the direction that you pointed.
She'll give a secret thumbs up to her three ghosts who were, getting stressed about this dude.
Overstressed functionary. All right. So as the day goes on, you you continue your lives. Albion, you and Rainey managed to go find yourselves a constitutional. You find zeros. It is always happy to see you, and it's got your whiskey sour. Sterling, I'm assuming that you went outside. Is that correct, or did you stay inside the library?
I think I would have joined into the with the music. I've got some stuff I need to get off my chest, so I would have joined in. And instead of playing music, I've got a spell I'm going to use, Moradiv's Egregious Etiquette.
Okay, why don't you tell us what that does?
Polite, witty, and flattering words. The worse the words that come out of my mouth, the more beautifully they land upon others' ears. I get 2 enhancements to interaction.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm just gonna step outside, and like as I'm hearing the music, I'm just going to start cursing everything out of the headmaster as the music plays. But it sounds like I'm basically just talking Shakespeare, or whatever the Vancian equivalent would be.
So, Billy, you are playing your trumpet, and as you're playing your trumpet, you don't notice them come, but you suddenly hear yourself joined by 3 more, a treble and 2 bass trumpets. Okay, and they perfectly match your jazz improvisation. And you're playing for a little while, and then from across the courtyard, you hear the dulcet poetry of not quite a song, but it matches the beat and the tone and the feeling of the jazz that you're playing. And you see Sterling walking towards you, and ironically, he looks rather angry, but what's coming out of his mouth is not angry at all.
I think I kind of lean into that. I start I focus on his voice and the beat there, and I try to accentuate that.
Okay.
I give him a little nod.
And you play for we'll say another 45 minutes like that. All told, you clear, we'll call it 75 crystal orbs. And it's absolutely not from one source. I mean, it's just you never have more than about 5 or 6 Vances standing around at any given time, but they're constantly through and changing.
A few of them are laughing because they can hear through my spell. So I'm sure a few Vances just walk up and laugh, leave a tip, and leave.
Well, and you know, when you get right down to it, it's almost like Andrew Dice Clay, right? You get angry on stage and everybody laughs. So you've got kind of a contrast, this beautiful jazz improvisation, and then Sterling here, who's shouting at the world in anger, and the contrast is probably kind of hilarious.
And how does my weave affect Sterling? If assuming that that's still ongoing.
It is still ongoing, and what it will do is it will relax him in such a way that if he were to need to refresh a pool, he could do that as if he were taking a brief rest. So the day passes, and you each head home to where you live, or in Sterling's case, where you're staying the night. Sterling, where are you staying that night?
For convenience, let's say tonight I'm with Phineas.
Okay. So as you each go home, you've been home for about 5 minutes, maybe 10. Okay. And there's a knock at your door. All four of you. Sterling, Phineas answers the door because it's his house and is quiet for a minute. And then he calls back inside, but I don't think this one's for me.
You don't think so? Not this time?
Nah, I think this one's yours.
I'll get up and have a look.
Outside all of your door is a smallish, and by smallish I mean there may be 4'8", 4'9", rail thin creature. And I say creature, it's not human. You're not quite sure what it is, but it's missing a mouth. The rest of the features on these beings look to be human, except their skin. It's just pure gray. And each one of them looks up at you and kind of inclines its head like a bow, and reaches out and holds out a wax sealed envelope and bows like Japanese style, right? So they hold it above their head up and present it to you.
What's this for?
He stands up a little bit and looks at you, and he's got this kind of confused look on his face, like, really? And then he bows again and he holds it out to you once more.
All right. Ever the consummate conversationalist. Thank you, I guess.
He bows lower, and then he turns and he walks away.
Captain. I open it.
Oh, go ahead.
Go. We'll look. Let's cover the other three first, and then we'll open it together because they all say the same thing.
I answered the door. Well, hello.
You see the same thing.
Well, are you here for dinner? I can't remember who I invited over this evening. Come on in. Come on in.
He kind of cocks his head to the side, like, no, and he actually shakes his head, and then he holds up the letter.
Oh, well, a letter. That just seems like such a nice thing for somebody to send. I take it, and I say, "Are you sure you won't come in for dinner? Kitchen doesn't mind making a little extra if you're hungry."
He shakes his head gently again, and then bows once more and turns and walks away.
Well, Reynard, we don't have anybody coming over for dinner. I suppose we should get started. I leave the letter on the table and go eat.
Okay. Claire?
Well, if Claire beats her valet to the door, she'll answer it. Otherwise, her valet will. Um, I'm going to assume Claire beat him because the valet's busy. So she'll smile and, seeing that it has no mouth, take the letter and bow slightly. Thank you, sweetheart. Have a good night.
And it turns and walks away. Sterling.
I'll grab the letter and then just sort of bow as low as it is and close the door.
And you don't see it turn and walk away, but it does. So as you open the letters, you see in a very fluid, very precise script, my dear, and then your name. I am feeling festive. We do not have enough parties in Saturnine. I would like to invite all of you, or I would like to invite you, I should say, to visit me at my home in the Strange Glass District. You would honor me with your presence at my gala. 2 days hence, in the evening at the 8th bell, yours, Kudash. That's Kudash. Kudash. Now, the thing about this letter is that even as it's got this script, as you're reading it, the letter speaks. And it says the words that you're reading as you're reading them. The voice is a deep baritone, very distinguished pronunciation, very very precise speech, proper grammar, proper inflection, very refined.
What do I know about Kudash?
Do you have any skill with knowledge about Saturnine itself?
No.
Then you know nothing about Kudash.
Well,
That
I've
that
never
doesn't
been
mean
one
that
to
you
turn
couldn't.
down an invitation to a party.
That doesn't mean that you couldn't find out about him. It's just at the top of your head, you don't have any of that information right now.
Well, I'm going.
All right.
Knowing that assuming that the letter is not listening to me, I'm going to talk back to it anyway, because I'm Billy, and I'm going to be like, can't say that's not ominous, but I ain't afraid of nothing except being bored, so yeah, I'll be there.
I love it. It does not respond back, by the way, but
Okay, good.
Claire, Sterling.
Phineas, do you know anything about Kudash?
Kudash? Oh, you mean that chap over in the Strange Glass district? Yeah, I used to be Jarrett over there. Now he's into imports or dinners or drinks or something. I don't know. Yes. Yeah, he's rich chap. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful wife. And 2, 3, 6 kids, something. Yeah. Beautiful wife.
236. Impressive.
Giant house too.
You have to for 236 children.
Well, yeah. Does he have 236 children?
That's what you said.
Wow. Really prolific.
Oh, I suppose I should go. Do you want to tag along? I'm sure he won't
me?
mind a +1.
He thinks about it for a second. Absolutely. I love crashing parties.
Right.
I'm sure there's someone there that hasn't met me.
See, Strange Glass District, 2 days. How far away is the Strange Glass District from the college?
By train ride, it's about 45 minutes.
Okay. The Herald isn't banned from the train, is he?
Well, I'm sure they've forgotten about that.
We'll see.
Claire will reread the letter and then fold it up, place it neatly in the envelope, and kind of tap the envelope on her other hand. Darling, I've been invited to a party. Let's lay out my best dress.
And he walks to the closet and pulls out a. Actually, what does your best dress look like?
It is a massive construction of steampunk variety with gadgets and gizmos galore, watches and widgets and all sorts of fidgets.
Okay. So he gets it down out of the closet and he kind of looks at it, and Varys goes, Lady, are you sure?
Oh, all right. We'll get the other one then.
He puts that back and he pulls out another dress.
No, not that one.
This goes on for about 20 minutes. Until finally he selects
A slinky black evening gown with ruffles.
this one, Mum.
Yes, it'll do. I have nothing to wear. I'll have to go shopping again.
Of course, Mum. And he walks over and he lays it on the settee, so that it can hang out the wrinkles and it's ready for you to put on in 2 days, because we need to get ready 2 days early. But so yeah, there is the invitation. When you read it the second time, you heard its voice again, but it quieted as soon as you put it away.
As a quick counterpoint scene to that, we see Billy like there's not really a closet, but there's some kind of rod on the inside of the haunted bomb that sort of like moves up and down. But he's got a bunch of clothes hanging on it. You just see him going through. There's just a bunch of white shirts, thin black ties. That's it.
And Albion. No, we haven't forgotten you. You had dinner with Rainey, and now what?
I suppose I'd probably head back out and, uh, I haven't been to a party since I've been back. Well, I've been to a lot of festive occasions, but I've never been to uh, a fancy party with invitations and everything. Uh, I'll go ask around. I suppose maybe Muggsy Stallone, my neighbor, will know something about it. If not, I'll check with Oscar.
So you
Uh,
head next door to Muggsy's place, I'm assuming.
hmm.
How are you going to get his attention?
Well, knock on the door is polite, I'd say.
Okay. Make a dodge roll.
Nine on the die, no skill.
Okay. So you knock on the door. It is a weathered, old solid core wood door with a few gaps around the edges, almost like weather or somebody had come along with sandpaper and dug into it so that it wasn't flat anymore. But it still latches. And as you knock on the door, you hear from the other side what sounds like a Tommy gun going off and heavy bullets thudding into the door. Two of them manage to find their way into one of these holes, not the same one, but one of the holes, and escape the doorway as you kind of duck out of the way, and they go right by where you were standing. What is it, you varmint?
Muggsy, my friend, I had a question if you have a moment.
Is that you, Albion?
Well, I mean, I I assumed I was the only friend you shot a gun at, but yes, it is me.
Nah, the Thaw are gonna come for me. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. It'll be a bloodbath in Milan.
Sounds like a real occasion.
And he opens the door, and you see a an older gentleman in a fedora, suit, and pants, both of them pinstriped, with two-tone Doc Marten shoes, carrying a Tommy gun. The end is smoking.
I had a question, friend. I know I haven't uh, been in town for as long as you have, and I thought perhaps you'd maybe have heard of a Kudash in the Strange Glass district.
Kudash, Kudash. Wasn't he a smuggler of some sort?
So, you know him. Terrific.
Sounds familiar.
Well, a smuggler. That's a place to start. A smuggler. I wonder if he could smuggle in some, you know, Jimmy's Deli back home. Well, in Shadow. They had the best cold cut sandwich. Wonder if he's that kind of smuggler. Well, no concern. I was invited to a party at his house. It
Really?
sounds fancy. Now, is he a fancy sort of gentleman? Do I need to perhaps put a little thought into my evening attire, or do it's my standard? He gestures. He's always wearing essentially a gray or brown wool suit with the same gray trilby, and he says, or is this appropriate?
He kind of sits back on his heels for a second and absently scratches his chin. His face is covered with a salt and pepper stubble.
Hmm.
And he looks at you and looks you up and down and says, someone like that, yeah, you're not gonna fit in looking like that. You need duds, you hear? And as he says that, he kind of fingers his suit and pulls it out and says, like these, something a little fancy.
Very well.
Sets off your mug,
It's very true of you, friend. Well, I suppose I ought to go looking. Do you reckon the Celestial Bazaar might have anything this time of night? I could go peruse. Limited time, you see.
Sure. If anybody will
Terrific.
have it this time of night, they will.
Well, that sounds like an adventure. I hope you have such a good evening, and I hope the thaw doesn't get you.
They'll never catch me.
I
Not
believe that
alive.
about you, sir. Oh, don't say such things. Well, have a pleasant evening.
And he tips his hat back to you.
And I wander on. Maybe I'll end up at the Celestial Bazaar. Maybe I'll just get stuck in a bar. I don't know.
As you walk away, you hear him close the door and you hear a series of 10 locks clicking.
A man who takes his security very seriously.
Absolutely.
Delightful.
All right. So between now and 2 days from
I have
now,
one more thing
of course.
before I have somebody I want to talk to as well.
That's what I
Unfortunately,
was
it's
going to
not my
ask.
friend.
What
Yeah.
do you want to do between now and 2 days from now?
First, I'm gonna go to the kitchen. Gonna pour a glass of bourbon. This is coffee, but I'm gonna pretend. But he's gonna drink it, finish it, look towards the hatch that opens to the tail fin, pull another one, down it really fast, go back outside, open the hatch, sit on the tail fin of the bomb sticking out of the wall, and go, "Hey, Virginia."
You see a green and yellowish green vine slowly crawl along the skin of this unexploded bomb that you live in. It looks like it's growing as it moves, but you can't quite tell. You're not sure if it's just that long and it's extending its reach, or if it's actually growing to reach you. But it sits 2 or 3 feet from you when it's done, and it looks up at you and forms what looks almost like a face with curly leaves. And it's got what looks kind of like a mouth, and says, "Billy, how are you this morning?"
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Who the hell is Kadash? Strange Glass District. Never heard of the guy.
Kadash. I don't know that I know a Kadash. Why do you ask?
I was just curious. You know a lot of people. I figured you got your vine on the pulse of things around here.
It makes almost a gesture like putting its hand on its heart, like, "Oh golly, it noticed." He noticed me.
Yeah. I gotta go. Chunk.
It's through the door. You hear a muffled, "Well, if you need to talk again, let me know."
Oh God. I guess I'm gonna have to try my other neighbor, even though I think I have an even smaller chance. So I go to the tip of the bomb, which protrudes into his apartment, and open up the other hatch, and just go, "Hey, Jude."
Billy!
How you doing, brother?
Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. How you been? How's business?
Oh, a pretty good day, unexpectedly. I played
Yeah?
at the Vancian campus. Never done that before.
Fantastic. Hey, are they looking for a comedian?
There's just an open stage. You could give it a try. I
An
explained to him
open
where it is.
stage.
Yeah, there's
And
like a
his
sign on
eyes
it that says "Go ahead" or something.
and his eyes get really big, like someone might actually listen to me.
Man, I want to watch when that happens. Hey, quick question. And I hand him like a
Yeah,
a
shoot.
glass of bourbon through the hatch. You ever heard of a guy called Kudash in the Strange Glass District before?
Kadash. Now that you mention it, I think I have. I did a party over there once, and someone mentioned his name or something like that. Some rich guy.
Yeah, I figured it'd be Rich. He's throwing a party in a couple of days if you're bored. I got an
Really?
invitation.
You don't think he'd mind if I showed up with you?
Hell if I know. You can't please everybody.
He takes a sip of the bourbon and kind of cocks his head to the side and is thinking, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll join you.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Hey, do you know where I could get some, and he kind of gestures with the glass, some digs like yours?
Like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I got plenty of these things. They were just here when I got here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I give him a white shirt and a thin black tie.
And he puts it on, and it's like 3 sizes too big for him.
Oh.
He's swimming in it, but he buttons it down. He cinches up the tie, and you know how the collar of a shirt gets when it's too big around, and you cinch up the tie too tight. How it kind of crunches together. It looks like that, but he looks immensely pleased with himself.
Hey, yeah, looking great there, buddy. That's real sharp. Real sharp.
Flashes you the biggest grin. Hey, thanks, Billy. Thanks a lot,
Hey,
man.
no problem.
So 2 days, right?
Yeah, and then I just have one other thing, and this will be super, super fast. My forte ability. I'm just gonna get like a waistcoat and a jacket from the deeps of sleep. I've got 2 nights, so one of those things each night, and then I'll have something to wear.
Sounds good. What is everybody else doing?
Go ahead, Sterling.
I think I'm just good for the 2 days. I'm not I'm not really doing anything besides studying. I don't even go clothes shopping. I'm just gonna pick out my blue robe that isn't torn up. Or I could wear something that I wear for the Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose. Instead of a blue robe, we have this like black with white lines instead of my usual blue, and it's got the little symbol on the back. I actually have the picture of the symbol too. I don't think I ever sent it here.
Okay.
Claire will probably be checking in on her ghosts and seeing if one of them knows this Poosh.
Kudash?
Yes, Kudash.
Okay. So most of these ghosts have come or are Visley who were patrons of the arts or artists, and about half of them either know Kudash or know of Kudash. It turns out that he was a gerent in the Strange Glass District, and a couple of them tell you that before they passed, he was very much into imports from other suns of rare items, and it didn't matter what they were. He was just if it's from somewhere else, and I can make money selling it, I'm going to bring it into Saturnine and I'm going to sell it.
Okay. She will keep mental notes of this. I wonder why he invited me to visit.
As soon as that occurs to you, almost every ghost in your choir and in the acting troupe and in the ballet troupe begins clamoring. Yeah, why did he invite you and not me? And all of a sudden, like 150 voices just start shouting in outrage at the fact that you got invited to a party on the level of this Kudash and they weren't.
She will watch the chaos unfold with this bemused smirk on her lips. Because, yes, she did that on purpose.
It lasts for the better part of 4 hours.
Well, I do have the option of a +1.
Dead silence.
I think I'll have to think about this. Go back to what y'all were doing.
Are you doing this on the first night?
No, the second, the morning of the day before.
Okay. So that day, as you go out and do whatever it is that you're going to do, you return home and find the opera house spotless. Like no cobwebs, no dust, no nothing. It's all gone. And there is no way Varys could have done it all. As you're walking through the opera house, all these ghosts are just looking at you with this bright, happy smile. Wonderful to see you, Mom. Did you have a good day?
Yes, thank you. How was y'all's day? Did y'all have fun? Did you get the practice in you wanted?
Oh, yes, and did some cleaning, too. It wasn't right that Varys is doing it all.
Interesting.
What about you, Avian? What are you doing for the next couple of days?
I imagine that Albion probably wandered off toward the uh, the entrance to the Celestial Bazaar and uh, met some stranger who was asking for a few orbs, and he and handed them over and invited the person for a drink and got distracted, and the next day sets out to look for some clothes and just meets the most interesting Elderbren who who, in spite of not taking on a human shape, likes to wear human clothing and gets in a conversation about that and learns of a tailor in probably not somewhere extremely fancy, uh, and ends up going to see the tailor and buys himself a okay suit, slightly newer, slightly more crisp looking than the one that he normally wears, but basically the same thing that he always wears.
Sure. This one probably fits better than all the ones that you have. Um, the when you go to a tailor, the measurements are exact, and the cut is personalized to your body frame. So I would expect this one hugs you a little bit better. But yeah, sure, it looks kind of like you've already got.
Yeah, I mean he's not all that interested in making a fancy impression with anybody, but he does have quite a few, stains from alchemical reagents on his suits. He's always wearing suits for going out, for working, which he doesn't really like to do much. He prefers just going out. But yeah. So he feels like he's got himself a smart enough suit to go somewhere and mingle with polite company.
I
And
like it.
yeah.
All right. We are an hour and a half in. Let's go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break, and we will be back and we will go to a party.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yay, party.
Welcome back. So we are going to a party, and before we get there, let's talk about how we're getting there. Um, is everybody going by rail, or is someone getting there another way?
Claire will go by rail.
We'll go by rail.
Yeah, I think Albion is a man of the people, so uses public transit.
Okay. Just as a side note, it's going to take you significantly longer to get there than everybody in Fartown. That's probably going to last about an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
You notice as you're taking the rail, each of you, that it doesn't go in a straight line. You see it takes quite a few odd turns and twists, and as you're thinking about it, um, it's not immediately apparent to you, but as you think about it some, it occurs to you that that might be avoiding some of the worst parts of um, the destruction from the war and the ruined districts. And so it kind of takes you out of the way and then takes you back, and then it takes you out of the way the other way and it takes you back. And um, so it probably, if you flew straight there, would take less time, but this is probably the safer option.
Public transport, the same in Saturnine or in Shadow.
Well, Um, you arrive in the Strange Glass District and follow the directions to a massive mansion. Um, it is palatial in scope. So the the outer edge of it is walled in with a hedge that's about 5 foot high, um, really, really thick, and laced with what look to be flowers. But as you look at the flowers, what you see is not like a solid petal. What you see is almost like you're looking into the night sky. Um, the the construction of the mansion is almost Grecian in its layout. There's a massive, almost like an exterior entryway with huge columns cut completely out of stone or formed even. You're not quite sure which. And walking up to the outer doors, you're looking at probably 13, 14-foot doors. They're probably solid wood. They probably cost as much as your entire house did and everything in it. And the the door hardware appears to be solid gold. Standing outside is a what looks to be a man in a almost like a burlap kind of a robe, and he's got a very, very old looking spiral-ish bound tome in his hand and a quill in the other. And he looks up at you, and Billy, you're with oh golly, what's your neighbor's name again?
Jude.
Jude, that's right. You're with Jude, and Sterling, you're with Phineas, and Claire, did you end up bringing one of your ghosts?
Yes, in fact, I did. I brought the cutest little boy ghost.
Okay. So you're with a ghost, and Albion, did you bring anyone or no?
Uh, no one that anyone else could see.
Okay. So the seven of you walk up to the gate, and the gentleman looks at you and looks down at his book and gets his quill ready. Names, please.
Burrows.
Yes, Mr. Burrows, and you brought a guest.
This is Jude.
You see him scribble what looks to be Jude's name off to the side of yours. And as he does, the door opens of its own accord. Please enjoy yourselves in the master's house.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. Thanks. I think.
Next.
Sterling Price.
Yes, Mr. Price. And this is...
Phineas, we bring a gift, and I point to the Herald. The Herald is doing its best to not talk.
a gift?
Yes, this statue.
Okay. He looks up at the statue for a minute and then kind of just waves off to the side and says, I suppose just place it over there.
I'll point over there and it'll walk.
That is an odd gift. I don't know what the master will do with such a thing, but... And he writes Phineas's name next to yours, and the door opens once more. Please enjoy yourselves in the master's house.
Of course.
Next.
I assume Claire got there well in advance.
Claire Thespian. I have my little friend Jeff with me tonight.
Ah, yes, Miss Thespian. And he looks down at Jeff, and he goes to write in Jeff's name, and it's like he can't. Very well. And the door opens. Please enjoy the master's house.
She goes in,
Jeff follows you.
and Jeff will, go find trouble to get into because that's what little boys do.
Next.
Assume I show up probably like 30 minutes later than all of them, and I walk up and I say, well, hi. I suppose you're here as the doorman for this party.
Obviously.
What's your name, friend?
I do not have one.
Oh, that's such a shame. A distinguished-looking individual such as yourself ought to have a name, but I suppose different strokes for different folks.
Name, please.
Oh, well, yes, of course. My name is Albion J. Finch. And then I reach into my pocket and pull out a card and a pen, and I scratch off one of the phone numbers, and I say, "If you should ever need to call me," and I hand it to him. Put the pen
He
back in my
just
pocket.
stares at your hand
No,
like.
I just lay it on the book.
So he goes and he finds your name, and next to your name, he writes Renard.
I look at it and I say, "Oh, Rainey, I knew you were coming."
The door opens, and he says, "Please enjoy yourself in the master's house."
No, I always enjoy myself wherever I am. And I walk on in.
Okay. By the time you arrive, there are well over 100 people here. You see Elderbrin, you see Lacuna, you see Visley that look. I'm going to call it normal, and you see Visley that have obviously been to the changery probably multiple times. Everything and anything that you can imagine having done to them, they've had done. The ballroom area, the entryway, the lounge, the library, it's all open to you, and it's all impeccably decorated. Either this guy's a great interior decorator or his wife is, because it all matches. It's all ridiculously expensive, and this guy appears to be fairly well off. There is waiters going around, and they've got plates of food that they're holding up, that they offer to each person as they walk by, or they go to a group or whatever. Some with food, some with drinks, and then everybody make a perception check as you spend some time at this party.
That is
Can I
a
ask
6.
what we're perceiving?
This is going to be a visual perception.
I got a 0.
Okay.
Five.
All right. Billy?
I already said it. I got a 6.
A 6. Okay. Okay. So, Sterling, Claire, and Billy, as you spend some time meandering around, you notice a short, 5'3", 5'4", dark-haired girl racing around, straightening ties on the waiters and directing them to different groups. And over at the food table, she straightens things up. But what catches your eye is, for instance, one time you look and she's straightening something up at the food table, and you turn your head and she's standing next to one of the waiters, directing them to a different group than they were headed to originally. And you look back, and the girl at the table is still there. So,
I mean, I I've, I don't think Billy's all that interested.
fair enough.
Takes
I
note.
didn't notice her. So
What are they carrying?
Several of them are carrying finger foods. Some of them are carrying flutes of different glasses of alcohol or some kind of drink that you're guessing.
I'll walk up and just grab a flute off of the tray, or I'll grab two.
Okay, you grab two. The waiter, as you take the flutes down, says, excellent choice, sir. We've brought this in from Flint's Flame. It's a vintage known as the Blue.
Do I know anything about the blue?
You do not.
Thank you, good friend, and turn around and pass some to Phineas.
Okay, you pass it to Phineas. Are you going to drink?
Yes, I'll give him a small toast and have a drink.
All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to draw the very first card of this game. So go ahead and give me a suit deck draw.
Okay, I clicked the button. We've got Unknowable Truth. Indigo Gray.
Okay, for those at home, the unknowable truth is secrets, ravens, books, and flame means truth, searching, futility. The raven stands watch over the unknown. As we strive for understanding, the closer we get to the truth, the farther away it becomes. We know this to be true, but only after we've made the journey. The truth we learn is that we cannot actually know the truth. At the very heart of the secrets family, the unknowable truth is the ultimate secret. The secret that cannot be, by its very nature, learned, but we still try anyway. It is futile, and yet it is productive. Even when you climb an infinite mountain, you're still moving forward. Okay, so tell me, Sterling, what is at this precise moment the deepest desire of your heart?
At this point, I've just sort of resumed my study of infinity. I want to know the true meaning of a concept like that.
Okay.
It's all I can think about during the day, at least.
Fair enough. So as you drink, it tastes very bitter. It's almost like it's almost like you're drinking straight dark chocolate. It's got that real acidic taste to it, and it leaves a very empty feeling in the pit of your stomach as you drink.
I just sort of look down, kind of put my hand over right here, and I just feel like looking down.
Okay.
How does Phineas seem to react?
Phineas swirls it around and sniffs it and then takes a quick drink. And he gets this big smile on his face. Ah, minty.
I wouldn't describe that as mint. Fair
No,
enough.
no, it's absolutely minty. It's very mint and a hint of orange, perhaps. Here, and he hands you his flute.
I'll give him mine too.
Okay.
Expect notes of dark chocolate, mild acid,
Really?
something like that. It is pleasant, but I feel emptier inside having drank it.
Okay. He swirls it around and takes a sniff and then drinks it again. Except out of your glass.
I'll do the same.
You taste the same thing. And so does he.
What an interesting concoction.
So Claire, what are you doing at this party?
Claire will be socializing. She'll
Okay.
be talking with people, broad smile on her face, just very calm, very. And when she sees Billy, she's going to go over to him and say, Billy, I haven't seen you in ages. How have you been, darling?
Hey, it's you again. We keep bumping into each other like this. You know, I've been pretty well. Been pretty well, keeping busy. How about yourself?
Doing quite well, quite well. I had a lovely man visit me yesterday. It was interesting. It was nice having company. He seemed to enjoy the opera this time.
Yeah, well, good for him.
As you're
Hey,
as you're talking, a waiter walks over and he's got some flutes of drink on his plate and some finger food. Can I interest you in something to eat or drink, perhaps?
what's the food?
It appears to be something akin to cream puffs, um, or even like a crab rangoon, right? So a crisper outer shell with what looks like fluffed something in the middle. You're not quite sure what it is, just looking at it.
I say, is this like actual pastry, or is it gonna taste like, dreams of regret or something?
As far as I'm aware, it's an actual pastry.
Go for it.
It is. It tastes very sweet.
Okay. I don't take a drink, but I do pull out a flask from my pocket. Have some bourbon.
Okay.
Claire will take a flute and just kind of hold it in one hand.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. And he turns and he walks away.
Are there any potted plants near Claire?
Sure.
She will just kind of step back and reach behind her and just pour the liquid onto the plant. Until it's about half empty, and then just kind of swirl what's left.
Okay. It doesn't do anything to the plant, but you pour about half of it out and it swirls. And the color doesn't change or anything like that. It's a very um, translucent aquamarine kind of a blue.
Yes, Claire is not very trusting of strange food or drink.
Albion?
Being is just walking around the party, enjoying himself. As soon as he gets into the party, he goes toward a server with a tray of drinks and asks, "What do we have here?"
Yes, this is from one of the local breweries. I believe it's called the Blues.
The Blue. Well, no whiskey. It's fine. It's fine. I take a glass, and um, I'm, he just walks up to the first person he sees and introduces himself and asks about the party, how it's going for them, and just starts chatting with strangers.
Um, it's going quite well for them. In fact, the first person that you walk up to is a gal by the name of Constance Oakley, and she is an upholsterer. She actually did all of the chairs and all of the couches and things like that in Kudash's home.
Oh
So
my,
yeah.
these are very lovely. Now, I might have uh, might have a job for you. Was at an opera house the other day. Seems like they're trying to get it up and running again. Definitely in dire need of some new upholstery on the on the chairs. Uh, might have to go back there and see if she's looking for anybody. Could I get your card? I can't I can't hear you all of a sudden.
She pulls her handbag out and yes, of course, dear, and pulls out a card that is made entirely of crystal,
Mm.
with etched black lettering on it, with her name and a an address. And she hands it to you. She says, "Please stop by my shop anytime. I'd love to have a chat with her."
Oh, excellent. Well, reach into my breast pocket, pull out a card, pull out my pen, and say, "Now, my name is Albion J. Finch. If you should ever feel inclined, you can give me a call. Now, call me at this number, not at this number. This is the old number." And I scratch it out and I hand it to her and
She
say, "It
takes
was
it
a
and
genuine pleasure to meet you. I think I see somebody I need to go say hello to, if you don't mind."
oh, of course, of course. And she takes it and kind of looks at it, um, almost um, disdainfully at the scratched out phone number, and then
Oh,
puts
yes.
it in her handbag.
Um,
Like, oh,
I
how
notice.
quaint.
I notice Sterling, uh, who I haven't seen in a long time, and I walk over and say, uh, "Sterling, now it has been, well, I suppose decades at this point. How are you? How long have you been
Albie?
back in Satterine?"
Oh well, I don't even know at this point. How have you been? It's been way too long.
Oh, yes. Well, after the war, I was in shadow for what seemed like decades. I suppose it really was decades, just several fewer than I had imagined. And well, here I am now at a party. Uh, oh, who's your friend?
This
Hi,
is
my name is
this is
Albion.
Phineas.
I am Phineas.
Vinny. My name is Albion J. Finch. It is a pleasure to meet you.
He reaches out and he takes your hand. He shakes it really firmly. It
Ah,
is a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Tell me what. I take a drink of it. What does this drink taste like to me?
Okay. Tell me at this moment what the deepest desire of Albion's heart is.
Oh, just to make the people around him happy at the moment.
Okay. Um, your drink tastes like um, almost like a mixture of orange juice and sunlight.
Hmm.
Not a strong acidic taste, but
Mhm.
it's very much a bright wake up your mouth kind of
Mm.
happy taste.
Okay. This drink is very interesting. It's good. It's good. It's sweeter than I generally go for. Didn't have any whiskey. Oh well. Uh,
Sterling, you
always make
notice that
do.
he's got the same drink you do.
I just look at the glass, and then I look at Phineas's, and I look at mine. It is interesting. I'll definitely say that. Quite the drink.
Tell me, what have you been doing since you got back from Shadow? Did you return to your studies with the Vancian College? I've met quite a few apostates who decided not to return to their Vancian studies after Shadow.
Oh, the same ones who hang out outside of the school just to mock us. Or just general apostates.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine many of the folks I've met would be interested in wasting their time mocking you. They've got new lives, interesting lives, better lives, they think. So, I assume they're pursuing whatever their fancy might be now. As are you, I would assume. Are you
Get back with the
sounds like you are
college.
still with the Vancian College.
Yeah.
Yes, that's great. That's great. Are you happy?
Yeah, I did lose my house, though, at some point between now and then.
Yeah, I
No big.
I did too. I managed to come back with with well with a house of sorts, and it's where I've been living since. But yeah, I understand. The house I lived in before is, well, I wouldn't even know if it's leveled. I'm not going out into the ruined expanses just for a sightseeing tour. I don't reckon. So
I don't doubt there's
here I
much to
am.
see. Is the diner over by you still open?
Oh yes.
Should go
Oh
sometime.
yes.
It's been a while.
Absolutely. Uh, well, my friend, it was such a pleasure to see you. I'm
Oh
awfully
yeah, it
glad to
was
have
good to see you again.
here. And I pull out my card and scratch off the
The new
wrong
number, not
number,
the old one.
and I hand it to you, and I tip my hat, and well, I don't tip my hat. I've taken my hat off. I'm holding it in one hand, and continue on.
I will nod back at you.
So you were there for about 2 hours and have circulated and have talked and perhaps drank something, perhaps not, perhaps eaten something, perhaps not. And it's a very formal, very upscale party. Each of you make another perception check. This one's going to be of things heard if it matters.
I am gonna throw down a bene.
Okay.
so I'll have a venture at 1. That brings me up to a 3.
Okay.
I'm also at a 3.
I've got a 5.
All right. Billy and Claire. As you guys are you kind of sticking together, or did you split? Did you end up splitting up after a while in your conversation?
I was gonna ask if I happened to overhear Albion complaining about whiskey. Not really complaining. And also, I was gonna ask if there's music.
There is no music.
Okay.
You also notice your +1 is attempting to weave his way through groups of people, trying to get himself a gig, plying his comedy.
I love it
So
so much.
so as you can overhear about the whiskey, that's just fine.
If I do, I offer him some whiskey because I'm holding a flask of bourbon,
Okay.
and I've seen him around before, so be like,
Oh,
"Hey, I remember you. Whiskey."
well, thank you. Um, I'm going to use my what is it? The temporal something spell. Temporal adjustment. I touch an inanimate, non-magical object that I could hold in one hand and reverse the effects of time that uh, on that object up to 1 year. So I'm going to reverse the effects of time on this object to when it was clean, and uh, and then hold out my flute and say, "Not really to my taste, but interesting. Yes, absolutely, whiskey would be much preferable."
I definitely pour some bourbon into his flute,
Okay. You now
and
have bourbon in your flute.
I understand where you're coming from, my friend.
Take a sip. This
It's
is
it's pretty good.
is this is this from Shadow, or have you found
Nah,
someone that
no.
makes it here?
There's a place south of Satterine that makes it actually.
Well, it's a shame there's not a decent distillery here in well, what used to pass as the largest city in the actuality, but
Hey, there's a diner in Rive River called Bob's Diner. Um, they have connections. All their
hmm,
food is actually grown like in the dirt.
well, that
It's a good place to start.
well, perhaps I'll find my way there. Uh, it's good to see you around. I haven't caught any of your performances lately.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a slow couple of weeks.
Hmm, understand that. Well,
How are things in the Fade?
oh, you know, a little bit run down, but suits me just fine. Suits me just fine.
I didn't realize this for everybody when we were doing character creation, but um, the Dreamery is in the Fade, so I'm there like every day.
Hmm.
So we've probably encountered each other even more than we kind of initially thought.
Um, yeah, everything same as it ever is, which obviously means always changing, but it's it's a good place to live, I suppose. Beautiful view right out on the edge of it. Looking out into the abstraction is well, puts things in perspective sometimes.
I could stare at that thing for hours.
Did do you know the host of this party? I received an invitation, sight unseen. And can't say it bothered me, but I have yet to see or be introduced to anyone who calls himself the host of the party, and just feeling a little, I don't want to say manipulated, but kind of looking around, saying,
Yeah, same
but
here.
neglected.
Yeah, I don't really got the same kind of invitation, and this really isn't my kind of party.
Oh, every kind of party is my kind of party, but it is a little odd that I haven't run into the host yet.
Yeah, I was thinking there'd be more to it.
Well,
As you're talking,
hmm
you, Billy, and Claire overhear two separate conversations, but they're roughly the same content. Did you see her? No, no. This other person saw her. So she was here. Well, that's what they said. Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. The girl from the other shore. You're positive? Yeah. They said she was here. Over the next 5 or 10 minutes, every conversation in the room turns to that as its subject.
Have I heard of the girl from the other shore?
You have not.
Yeah.
But with as many people talking about it as are, you're guessing it's of some sort of importance.
And then we never really established if Claire wandered off or not. I don't know if like the three of us are together. If it's the three of us, I'll say it to both of them. If not, I'll just say it to Albion. You know who that is? You heard of the girl from the other shore?
You're muted, Jeff.
girl from the other shore. I can't say that I've heard anything about her before. She sounds like some kind of celebrity. Uh, no, I can't. I can't say as I've ever heard of her,
Yeah,
but
me neither. What's the fuss?
she must be interesting. Otherwise, people wouldn't be talking about her. Well, I can't say that. In Saturnine, people just gossip and gossip about nothing at all. But uh, we must be at a fancy party if some celebrity's here.
Yeah, you got a point there. I'll just ask somebody that's talking about it as if they knew who that is.
Okay.
Just like butt in on their conversation, but somewhat gracefully, and be like, "How are you folks doing? What this girl from the other shore? Who's that?"
They look at you almost horrified, like you've never heard of her before. Surely you know who she is. She's she's the girl from the other shore. She's well, she's a goddess.
You mean like figuratively, or like she's a goddess?
Are you Visley?
Yeah, sure.
Recently returned from Shadow.
Oh, you're recently back. That explains it. I understand now. Yes,
So there's a new
she's
goddess in the last 20 years.
no, not new. She's been around forever.
Very well.
She doesn't come very often, though.
Wait, Albion, 20 years. What do you mean?
I About how long I was gone in shadow.
You too, huh? God, why does everybody remember that?
I was in shadow,
Look, I've
it felt
only been
like.
here a couple of months.
You didn't go to shadow,
I came from Shadow,
but you
but
don't
I've only been
remember it.
here for a couple of months. I
Same.
remember Shadow just
Same.
fine.
Wait, you don't remember your life here before shadow.
As far as I know, I didn't have one. I remember Shadow, and I remember the last couple of months here.
It's very interesting. I definitely remember my life here before. Can't say it was a remarkable life, but it was mine. And then I spent about 60 years in shadow and woke up about 4 or 5 months ago, dragged back out into the actuality. But
Well, just
here we are. I hope Saturnine is to your liking to some extent.
it's a damn sight better than where I came from. I'll tell you that.
Hmm.
Shadow was rough.
Yeah, it can be a rough place. Uh, Now, have you seen? I'm gonna point at Claire and say, have you met her before? I met her
Yeah,
yesterday. It's awfully strange to just run into somebody,
Claire and I
or
bump
not
into each other all
yesterday,
the
three
time.
days ago. Oh well,
It's uncanny, really.
it's very interesting.
But at least we
This,
haven't physically hit each other.
Well, there's always time.
uh, ma'am, I just met the most captivating woman who was telling me all about her prowess with uh, upholstering, and having been to your fine establishment and knowing that you're looking to get it up and running, thought perhaps you might be interested in making her acquaintance. I got her card for you, and I pull out this sparkly crystal card and uh, offer it to you and say, she did all the upholstery here in this house, apparently, which seems well done, beautifully made. I am I'm a bit of an eye when it comes to craftsmanship, at least.
Yeah, it's excellent craftsmanship. You absolutely wouldn't have chosen these colors.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely not.
they
But
they are absolutely not what you are into at all. But
no, I'm
the
I'm a
the
man of simpler
craftsmanship's
taste than
impeccable.
this. Um, so I offer you the card.
Claire will gracefully take it and slide it in her pocketbook. Thank you, Albion. That is most gracious of you. Of course, getting the ghosts to agree on anything is quite difficult.
Sometimes you just have to take the reins yourself and make a choice without everyone else's opinions.
Yes, but if I do that, they'll destroy it, and it'll be a waste of crystals.
Oh, well, then maybe you don't want to do that. Well, it's been such a pleasure. I'm gonna mosey along. I'll I'm sure I'll see you around here though before the end of the night.
As you
Thank you again for the whiskey.
as you all are finishing up that conversation, at the top of the staircase, there's a double staircase that leads up, arcing left and arcing right. Out of a large door walks a gentleman and a lady, and they stand at a railing and look down at everybody, and you hear him speak, and it's the same voice that was in all your letters. And he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my home. I apologize for not having joined you earlier. I was unavoidably detained. However, I do sincerely hope that the food, the drinks, and the company have been to your liking and would bid you welcome. Please take your ease, take your rest, enjoy the hospitality of my family, and remember that we Visley must stand together and help each other. And in order to do that, we must get to know one another. That is why I put on parties such as this, that we may know our neighbors and turn to each other in times of trouble. Please, one and all, welcome." And he spreads his hands, and the woman next to him smiles and nods, but she does not say anything. Sterling, when you look up to see who's speaking, you immediately understand why Phineas said what he did. If there were a scale, right, on a 1 to 10, she's about a 73. Like, what is she doing with this guy?
I'll look over at Phineas. Good thing he has a lot of money.
Well, someday, someday. And he says it like he's absolutely sure that someday that's going to be him.
I'll give him a really, hard pat on the back. Sure thing. Sure thing.
Muffled from outside, you finally hear the thing that you've been waiting to hear the entire time. The statue begins talking to the doorman and asking if he's heard of Phineas the Amazing.
I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna stand there, look at my fingernails, look back up to see if the host is still up there.
No, he's actually leading his wife down the stairs, and they are starting to mingle among the guests.
All right.
And I'd like to get a quick read on the host's level of sincerity, motives, etc.
Go ahead.
I'd like to see if he's some pretty heavy sentiment there. Oh, it's not great. That's a 3.
From what you can tell, he means what he says. You don't get the slimy feeling like this dude's putting on a slick move or anything like that. But if he were an actor, he could be a really good one, and you wouldn't know. So your gut tells you he's probably sincere, but there's no way to know for sure.
I'm going to continue to drink and meet with all the guests. As many as I can, anyway.
Okay. Are any of you making an active attempt to circulate in with the host or his wife?
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Claire, Sterling?
Claire will move with the crowd.
Okay.
I'll follow Phineas's lead.
Okay. So Phineas takes the direct approach. He
Okay.
doesn't do the circling of the crowds. He doesn't follow their path. He doesn't mingle with the next crowd that this guy's likely to join. He walks right up to the host and his wife. Wonderful party, sir. Wonderful party. And he reaches out, and he takes the guy's hand. The guy doesn't offer his hand. Phineas takes it and shakes it very excitedly. Wonderful party, sir. It's an honor to be here.
Well,
I'm
he's doing that
Phineas.
real fast. Or before he can get out the words like "I'm Phineas," I'd like to use my other I'd like to use my prepared spell.
Okay.
I am going to use
Um,
Axel's sympathetic tattoo.
Okay.
If I have a moment to.
Let's go ahead and say what that does.
A word is sort of written on my body. Usually a noun. If anyone close to me speaks that word, they are jolted with an inner chill so severe that they lose an action. So I'm trying to stop him in his tracks before he goes too far.
So before we do that, let's go ahead and pull another card.
So yeah, just the instant he walks up, I start preparing on my arm, just
Yep.
Phineas. Because I see him and I'm like, he's gonna do something stupid.
All right, so we that promotes silver and diminishes gold. It's vision, swans, blades, and water. The blind, it means safety, impartiality, serenity, blindness, and challenges. The blind guardian watches over us like a protector. That's probably our door it guards. Because of its blindness, it confronts all intruders equally, from the lowest vermin to the most powerful god, from the purest angel to the vilest demon. Its blindness also confers a calmness. You'll never see the guardian worry or fret, nor will you see it eager or anticipatory. To those that seek what it guards, it is a difficult challenge. You cannot bribe or charm this guardian, and despite its blindness or because of it, it is very difficult to fool or deceive. Okay, so you cast this spell. What effect are you looking for?
The moment Phineas says his name, I just want him to stop, let go of the hand. From that severe chill that he'd get.
Okay. Go ahead and make a roll. That's going to be.
This has +1 die. So.
Yep. That'll be 2 dice.
Yep. And then I'll have to roll for depletion.
Yep.
Let's see. 2 3s.
And what's the level of the effect?
Level 4.
So 7s. Okay. So as Phineas says his name, he drops the guy's hand. And you can see him struggling to keep a smile on his face because he knows he should. He's just having a real hard time doing it. And this gentleman has a fairly broad smile on his face and says, "Well, then, Phineas, it's a pleasure to meet you as well. My name is Kudash, and this is my lovely wife, Esmeralda, and we welcome you to our home. It's our pleasure to have you here. And your friend? I'm assuming you're standing like right next to him."
Yeah, I'm pretty close. I just nod my head downward. Sterling Price, I apologize for his direct approach.
He smiles. No, no, of course not. It's just fine. He's young. He's eager. I was young and eager once, a long, long, long time ago. And Esmeralda just kind of swats his arm. Oh dear, you're not that old. Um, and he turns back to you and he says, "Are you? Let's see, Sterling Price. As I recall, you are a student at the Vancian College. Is that not correct?"
First degree.
"It's a pleasure to have you here. We must take care of our first degree advances, must we not?"
Sure thing. It's an honor to have.
You broke up. I didn't catch that last.
Sure thing. It was an honor to be invited.
Of course, of course, of course. Make yourself welcome. Please have some food, have some drink, uh, meet some new friends. Enjoy yourselves. And he turns and kind of leads his wife away. At that point, Billy and Albion, as you work your way into the crowd that he's meeting with next, he joins the group that you've kind of sidled up to, and says, "And how are the lot of you enjoying the party?" He gets several affirmative responses, lots of smiles, and you're not going to need to make a roll for this, Billy. But some of those smiles are very obviously patronizing, and some of them are genuine. And it's fairly obvious which. They're not nearly as skilled at hiding as as would require a roll.
Mm-hmm. Quick question: did I hear his conversation with Sterling at all?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's not suspicious at all. He just knows every first degree Vance on the campus by name. Anyway, my my response is not going to be guarded or fake whatsoever. I'm just going to be like, yeah, it's a nice place, but it's a little dry. You could use something to lively up the place. Maybe some music.
Music.
A little stiff.
Mr. Burroughs, are you not a musician?
Yeah, I play.
Well, I would absolutely love to have you play for this party.
I could do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. My dear, I understand that Mr. Burroughs here plays jazz trumpet. And she claps her hands excitedly, like it's the greatest thing ever. Do you have your instrument?
Always.
Wonderful. Please feel free to go and set up wherever you like, and uh, we'll pay you even. It's such a delight having music. I didn't realize that Kudash had invited someone of such talent.
Yeah, well, you can tell me how talented you think I am after you hear me play, but I appreciate the sentiment.
She laughs gaily and it sounds almost like tinkling glass. It's that bubbly, happy kind of laughter, right? And he turns and he looks at you, Albion, and you must be Mr. Finch.
Must I? I suppose I must. Yes, sir. My name's Albion. Uh, Seems you've got the better of me. I'd offer you my card, but you clearly know where I live, so.
Well, it wouldn't do very well to invite people to my party and then not know who they are, now would it?
It's pretty miraculous feat there, but we are Visley. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's been a beautiful evening. I've
And he
met some
reaches
very
up and he
interesting
taps his
people.
forehead and smiles at you.
Uh, what prompted you to bring us all together?
It's like I said at the beginning when I first came out. I'm wanting to promote cooperation between all Visley. And while I can't fit us all in one building right now, I can fit some of us. And you have to start somewhere.
I reckon that's true. Uh, and I look to his wife and I say, Madam, this party doesn't do you justice. It is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Albion. And I appreciate the invitation. And thank you for inviting my friend here to play. He is an excellent musician. I'm looking forward very much now to hearing it.
She blushes and replies, "Well, why, thank you. You're so kind."
Well, I don't know if I'm kind, but I do try.
Please,
Uh,
please enjoy the food and the drink. We're happy to have you here.
I I bow my head very slightly and I say, thank you for offering. I think I'll go do just that.
And he turns back to Billy and he says, "When you're finished, please see the doorman and he'll have your pay for the evening."
Hey, thanks a lot, lady.
Of course, of course. And they move on to the next group. Claire, it takes a while as you're following the flow of the crowd. Um, you're not quite taking as direct a route as some of the others did, but you do eventually get a group where um, he and his wife join you, and as he does, um, you see Jake, I believe is the ghost, correct? Jake? Jeff, the ghost, um, run out through a wall towards you. And almost immediately thereafter, through an adjacent door, about 5 feet away from where he ran out, you see a puffy white cat racing after him. And he's giggling and he goes and he races around and he hides behind your legs, and the cat runs out and realizes that there's like 100 people out here and tries to skid to a stop, and the floor is waxed and it doesn't make it. And so it kind of, this fluff ball skids across the floor and slams into Kudash's leg. He looks down and he says, "David, I told you to stay in the kitchen. They would have food for you there. I understand that the ghost is fun to play with, but please mind your decorum. And the cat gets up and looks up at Kudash and has the most crestfallen look on its face that you've ever seen, human, animal, or otherwise. And he just slowly pads back in through the door where he came from.
Poor kitty.
Kudash looks to you and, I'm so sorry about that, my dear. Is everything okay? Did it startle you?
It is all right. It was quite entertaining, actually. I'm pleased to see Jeff having so much fun. He's been quite lonely at the opera house.
And Kudash looks down at Jeff, and so does his wife, and Kudash leans over, and you can hear him ask softly, "Doesn't he look like Alan? He reminds me so much of him." "Ah, yes, dear. I remember those days when he was younger. All the trouble he'd get into. Very precocious youth. Do you have children, madam?"
Just my ghosts. I currently am single because I have ghosts. They are very peculiar as to who's allowed to be around me.
"Ah, I understand. Children are so..." And she trails off, and she kind of flutters her hand, fanning her face. And Kudash follows up, and he says, I do hope you're enjoying the party. Is there anything that we can do to make your experience better?
No, it's quite lovely. I'm enjoying it. It's nice to get out of the house for a bit.
How wonderful. Thank you. And please enjoy yourself while you're here. Make yourself at home. We're happy to have you. And he turns and walks away. Um, Despite his presence and despite his wife's presence, the conversation never entirely turns from the girl from the other shore. But what's odd is no one seems to have actually seen her themselves.
I mean, I'm just playing music, but I am going to do almost the same thing that I did last time, actually. First, I'm going to post up somewhere where I can see as many people as possible.
Mhm.
I'll try to watch Kudash and Esmeralda in particular, but I'm just going to try to get a read on the crowd in general so I can keep watching. And I'm just doing this as I should probably, because I'm affecting a lot more people. It's probably like a second level effect.
Yeah,
So I'll spend 2 sorcery.
sounds good.
And I'm just doing joy, and in this case, recuperation. So if anyone's feeling tired or a little too tipsy or what have you, I'm trying to relax and like liven up the joint, so to speak. So I'm just going to do that and watch the crowd.
So as you do that, the crowd does seem to be rejuvenated. And what you also notice is that about a quarter of them begin dancing to the music that you're playing. And so it does seem to liven up the party some. And you play for about 2 hours, and people start trickling out. Sometime in that time, Kudash and his wife have retired and have gone to bed, and the waiters and the wait staff and this girl that you see now 3 or 4 that look just like her are cleaning up food and decorating like that, and the party is over, and so you are kind of ushered, not in a bad way, but you're ushered out of the house, and the doorman does indeed have your uh, payment, and the payment is 1 mage coin.
Making money today. Love it.
And I think that that's where we're going to stop for the day. So let's do some quick character recaps, and talk a little bit about joy, despair, and any acumen for any character arcs. And then we'll do some quick shout outs and we'll call it a stream. So, Billy, tell me a little bit about what you experienced today in today's session.
Um, I mean, I think it's almost definitely a joy for Billy. He started out thinking he wasn't going to have anywhere to play in this session, and then he ended up like making a difference for a bunch of people at the Vancian campus. And being an empath, I think that definitely brought him joy. And then just like livening up the stiff party, same thing. That's Billy doing one of the things that he does best. And I think, I mean, he briefly talked with Albion about some things related to his character arc, but I wouldn't say he really made progress by any means on that note. But yeah, just I think for him it was a good time.
So let's give Billy a joy, and we'll hold on to the acumen here for a little bit more of a substantial advancement on your character arc. But let's definitely give you a joy for that. Claire, what about you? What was your experience today?
I think Claire getting to get out of the house was a very joyful occasion. Plus, the fact that the ghosts like completely cleaned the opera house was like really nice.
So we found a way to get them to clean for you. You just give them something to compete about, and they'll do menial labor. I agree. I think that's worth a joy. Anything with your character arc,
No, not really, not yet.
though you did, just as a side note, you did start with the contact information for that upholsterer.
Yeah, but I'm not really going to consider that moving forward until I actually, talk to her.
That's fair. Just as a side note, remember that happened. So that's possibly the start of an acumen for you in the future. Sterling, what do you got?
Well, I got to let some frustrations out at during the performance. So that was nice, but having the blue, I realized that I am so far from any kind of objective that I don't even know where to start with working toward learning what I need to learn.
So I'm hearing kind of 1 joy and 1 despair. Is that what you're thinking?
I'm definitely feeling some despair in there, yeah.
I think I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give you one joy and one despair, and the despair for the blue, and then the joy is going to be in how you helped Billy at the Vancian College, as well as um, successfully riding herd on Phineas to where he didn't embarrass himself in front of somebody that could be a potential influencer for you and for him as well. Albion, how are you feeling about that session?
Oh, Albion always has a wonderful time. He enjoyed meeting all the people that he met this evening, and he's looking forward to getting to know more of them, getting to know them all a little better if he can, and you know, probably ought to get to work soon. Been putting it off for a while, uh, but otherwise, yeah, excellent session for him. I'd say definite joy getting to meet all those new people.
I would agree with that. So go ahead and take a joy for that. So let's do some shout outs. Kelton, do you have anything that you want to call attention to this stream?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, besides stuff that I know you're already going to say about the hole in the world, etc., do that. There's another great channel if anyone wants to check it out. Heathen Cantina. My friend Asmo, who you guys know, is often on there. They have some pretty good streams. It's a great channel. Go check it out. And thank you guys for watching.
Yes, please check out Asmo Danikar. He's awesome. We love him. And then I'm gonna skip Joanne for just a second because I'm nice that way, and we're gonna jump to Chris real quick.
I mean, I don't have anything in particular, honestly, right now. Check out
Albacon?
Angel Citadel. Albacon just ended, so
Okay.
yeah, the last games just went through, so
I didn't realize it was already done. So, all right.
yeah, it was just this weekend, so
Well, get to Albacon next year. It's an online convention that they host over in Europe. It's fantastic people, and if I'm not mistaken, they do charity as well.
yeah, all of the entries are for charity.
Awesome.
We had about, I want to say 50-ish games that went down.
Awesome.
45 games, and all of the ticket funds went to a Penumbra, a Scottish mental health charity.
Sweet.
So,
It's awesome.
Jeff, how about you?
No major shout outs. I just had an excellent weekend at Tennessee Game Days. Board gaming for the last couple of days. Yesterday was 17 hours straight of board gaming, and it was a lot of fun, but I've been exhausted all day today. But yeah, if anybody is interested in coming to Middle Tennessee at some point, they do a Tennessee Game Days event twice a year now, so spring and fall. Otherwise, no, just keep watching, please, if you feel like it.
Awesome. Joanne?
Well, you know what? I'm just going to steal the show.
Do it.
Okay, so first I want to say thank you to Manapot Studios for supporting us and encouraging Josh on his leap into the invisible sun and GMing the actuality, because that's really awesome. Thank you, Zach. I want to say thank you to Liza for running the happy hour every Wednesday, because that's awesome too. And yeah, and I love playing with you guys, and I'm glad that y'all are here, and I'm looking forward to more gaming.
And for myself, we appreciate you at Angel Citadel. We appreciate those that came and spent time watching us today. It's been a blast. I'm looking forward to so much more Invisible Sun with you guys. These characters are a hoot to play with, and I can't wait to see what hijinks y'all get up to. If you want to chase us around the internet, you can find us at angelcitadel.com. You can find us on Twitter at Josh Wallace and at Joanne Wallace. We have a Discord server. And, if you just can't wait 2 weeks for more Invisible Sun, go ahead and head on over to Manapot Studios on Twitch TV next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern for the hole in the world. Zach Norton runs an amazing Invisible Sun live play. Their cast of characters is awesome. I love them all. And they're as often as I can be anyway. So other than that, we'll see you right back here in 2 Sundays as our Vislays continue to seek the soul's direction. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
Forgot one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Also, Manapot Studios this Wednesday for happy hour. I just want to say I will be on that happy hour. So come by and check it out. It's Wednesday. It's 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe. That's all.
Wrong way.
I would say, yeah, it's the other way around. 4 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yep. I did that too fast.
That's all right.
Yes. Well, that just means I gotta text Liza and say, let me play. I've already got a character ready and everything. I'm super excited. And don't forget, tonight we are doing Angel Citadel's Fireside Chat. So come hang out, ask questions, talk to us.
Come hang out in the lounge with us.
All right.
Have a great Sunday. And as always, Invisible Sundays are the best Sundays. May the light of the actuality shine on you. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.